Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar from the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. It's going to be turning a lot colder over the next 48 hours with more precipitation for many. Some of that precipitation in the north could fall as snow as well, especially wintry showers through Monday and Tuesday, and even into Wednesday and Thursday could be some frontal snowfall through higher routes of Scotland. But for most areas, the biggest risk over the next few days will be ice and frost and generally a cold feel out there. However, as we enter long range, look at the GFS, GEM, ECMWF and the ensembles, as we do head towards the end of this upcoming working week and towards the weekend, it is going to be turning warmer with a warmer air mass coming up from the south and southwest. What that means for surface conditions, we're yet to have that sort of refined, but it definitely does look like it's trending towards something a little bit warmer, a little bit drier towards the end of the month and start of May. As I said, it's still a good 7 days away also, plus for early May. But it is looking encouraging. Things should be a little bit warmer and hopefully a little bit drier, but there still is a lot that could go wrong with that. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So if we do start on the live radar, you can see we've got a load of precipitation bands around at the moment. This is because that upper trough that moved through Thursday into Friday has now sort of sat over the top of us, cold air aloft, so it's a chilly feeling day today. We've got thicker cloud and rain. And here we're seeing low pressure starting to develop, and that's why I've got all these areas of rain, not particularly organised at this stage because the low pressure is forming, but as it does form over the coming days, we'll see more of these weather fronts come a little bit more organised before the low pressure moves out into the North Sea and brings down a really cold northerly wind through Sunday into Monday, and that, as I said, will bring through the very cold air, wintry showers, widespread frosts, and generally very cold for the time of year. As I said, you can see rain across the far southwest, through South Wales, through Republic of Ireland, Northern England, into southern Scotland. Where this is occurring, it is miserable out there. As I said, the air mass is pretty chilly, nothing amazingly cold, a couple of degrees below average. So yeah, under that cloud and rain, really not feeling nice at all. Elsewhere, through parts of England and Wales and parts of Scotland as well, yes, the air mass is still chilly, but with a bit more sunshine and generally dry conditions, those temperatures are still rising to the low teens, maybe 13, 14 degrees, so around average or slightly below average in most areas. So if you do put on those temperatures, you can see as of 2:30, again, you can see the areas that are seeing the coldest conditions at the moment. Northern England, southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, southern and southwest England into South Wales as well. Temperatures there struggling into the high single digits. We see yellows, more sort of that sort of 12 or 13 degree range, once again through the central belt of Scotland into western Scotland, seeing the best conditions there with the air mass slightly milder, with temperatures perhaps peaking around 14 or 15 degrees. You can see out towards Europe, it's warming up now. We're sort of stuck under the last remaining cold air across northwest Europe and parts of Germany, which were in this cold air mass a few days ago, now getting into the 20s. So yeah, really isolated here in terms of northwest Europe. Most other areas starting to warm up. Most areas reach in that country reaching at least high teens or 20 degrees today and tomorrow, but the UK is going to be trapped under this cold air mass, and it's only going to get colder over the coming days. So if you now have a look at the UKV and have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, you can see all those weather fronts at the moment, just areas of rain spiralling around as the low pressure system does form. We'll get a bit more organised perhaps through Sunday with this area of rain in the far southeast as the low eventually picks up momentum and moves out into the North Sea. As it does, it pulls a northerly wind down, and you see plenty of showers in northern and western areas and wintry showers through Scotland. That will continue through the rest of Sunday. Perhaps the far east will be quite miserable through Sunday afternoon into the evening, as we do have plenty of heavy rain occurring there and heavier showers further northwards and westwards. Into Sunday evening and overnight into Monday, it does clear, and because the cold air is drier, it shouldn't be too widespread, these showers, but again, there could be some heavier showers and snow through Scotland and perhaps higher routes of North Wales, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland too. As we head into Monday afternoon, it will be a quite a cold day, and again there could be showers and even some more persistent rain across the far south. Once again, any of these showers further northwards could have a wintry flavour, especially over higher routes. As we head into Tuesday, we will cut off a lot of that northerly flow, but the cold air will still remain over the top of us. So Tuesday will be a brighter day, perhaps a sunnier day for many, especially early in the day, and should still, though, be quite cold. A few wintry showers once again across Scotland, but nowhere near as many as there were through Sunday and Monday. And we see a weather front approaching from the southwest, and this is inducing the milder air. And today, the UKV takes that weather front further northwards through the Republic of Ireland into parts of Scotland by Wednesday. Elsewhere, it's a slower breakdown of that cold air, so it will gradually get warmer. No sudden increase in temperature from a weather front, as we're not seeing that sudden change there. So it will mean the warm up in the south is a little bit slower than we thought a few days ago, but regardless, it should warm up for Thursday and Friday. But look across Scotland, widespread heavy snowfall initially on the weather front and then more exclusive over higher routes. Again, could be disruptive if it does fall over Wednesday night into Thursday, as many could wake up to some snow on Thursday morning before it most likely will all melt by the afternoon. But yeah, definitely turning milder later in the week. And you can see this from the upper air temperatures through Sunday evening. The very cold air mass spreads in, dominates through much of Monday and Tuesday, before eventually Wednesday gets pushed away. Very slow increase in the far south. Maybe by Wednesday evening getting to that milder air. Further north, it's more of a sudden increase, and that's why we've got heavier rain there and more energy in those weather fronts. The air mass to the southwest is going to be quite mild, if not quite warm. Of course, it will lose some of its warmth as it does spread over generally cold land after this colder air mass, but it should generally still be above average as we head into the weekend, perhaps seeing temperatures back into the mid to high teens or even towards 20 degrees. Now, after you finish on the UKV, but just have a look at the precipitation and at the temperature over the next sort of 5 days. And again, you can see this afternoon, chilly in those places where you have rain at 6 to 8 degrees. A bit more sunshine across Scotland, 14, 15, and across parts of its central and eastern England, perhaps 13 or 14 there. But by no means warm or mild, just generally average to slightly below average for the time of year, but not quite as cold as those prone areas with cloud and rain. Into tomorrow, again, we see overnight temperatures not too cold tonight with a thicker cloud around, and into tomorrow afternoon, once again, we see those showers and heavier areas of rain, again, 6 to 10 degrees, again, most likely sort of 8 or 9 in the middle there, and some areas where we've got a bit more sunshine and dry weather, perhaps as high as 13, 14, but still most areas below average. And Scotland, look at that, really cold, mid to low single digits, freezing over higher routes. As we head into Sunday night, the cold air will be descending southwards, and you can see a widespread frost in northern areas through Northern Ireland, perhaps Northern England and Scotland, and most areas through Monday afternoon will not rise much above 6 to 8 degrees. And again, that's regardless of cloud amounts. It's just a widespread cold day. Again, temperatures may peak in the far southeast, far southwest and far south of Ireland at around 10 or 11 degrees, but most areas will be in the mid to high single digits, good 5+ degrees colder than the average for this time of year, maybe even higher, or maybe even more than that in some areas, especially further southwards. But the average is getting onto sort of 15 to 16 degree average highs for the end of April and start of May. As we head into Tuesday, it should be a slightly milder day, but the morning will start bitterly cold. Look at that, many areas down towards freezing. Again, as many wake up around 7 a.m, it should thaw quite considerably as the sun does rise, but if you're up really early, so 5, 6 a.m, there could be quite a widespread frost for all areas up and down the British Isles. As you can see by 9 a.m, look at that, 5 to 7 degrees, so it does thaw very quickly into the morning, but could regardless be a very cold night there. Into Tuesday afternoon, still a pretty chilly day, max temperatures maybe 9 to 11 degrees, again colder, but we have rain, but again, nothing especially mild at all, just slightly warmer than Monday. As we head into Wednesday now, again, overnight temperatures still chilly, especially in the north. We've got clearer skies, well below freezing, and into Wednesday afternoon, again, you can see the temperatures 8 to 9 degrees, bit of rain. Elsewhere in the far southwest, perhaps 14 or 15 degrees starting to increase there. And finally into Thursday, you can see the overnight temperature still cold in the north, but not quite as cold in the south, as we do start to see those warmer upper air temperatures arriving, which should hopefully give temperatures back into the mid to maybe high teens widely by the weekend, maybe even touching 20 degrees potentially, depending on the exact air mass and wind direction. So if we do now have a look at the longer range, go over to the GFS, have a look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF, and the ensembles. You can see the upper trough over us at the moment, forming a low pressure system that eventually pulls out into the North Sea, putting down that very cold northerly wind before that eventually collapses. And we see more of a south to southwesterly arrive for Thursday into Friday and into the weekend. High pressure builds in. Again, not a huge area of high pressure, so there could still be some unsettled weather in the north and west, but generally higher pressure building in. We do start to see low pressure come up against it before eventually into longer range, more of a high pressure dominant pattern. But again, the most important thing with this is the upper air temperatures. You can see it initially at the moment, it is cold out there. Upper air temperatures aren't amazing at the moment, but they'll only get worse over the coming days, eventually into next weekend, or at least end of next week into next weekend. Perhaps the 5-degree isotherm moves in, maybe even the 10-degree at times, and it generally is milder, and it definitely when we see those high pressure systems move in, it will be a little bit drier as well. So it could be some warmer, could be some drier conditions. Definitely would put a caveat more on the drier, that we can see low pressure systems turn a budget at times, and that is something we'll have to look at nearer the time. So if we do now run through the GM, again, low pressure in control over the coming days, that very cold air mass moving in, but eventually toward the end of next week and into the start of next weekend, look at that higher pressure building in from the south. Bit more high pressure dominated than the GFS, maybe a bit of a cut-off low down in the Bay of Biscay that could introduce some showers and thunderstorms in the south, but more of an easterly flow here, but perhaps a slightly warmer easterly, with Europe having time to warm up. Again, the upper temperatures there are a little bit better. You can see it could even drag up some quite warm air there for a time. Again, look at the temperature deviation, generally above average, perhaps 4 to 6 degrees above average at times. So much more pleasant and pretty dry there from the GM, bar from perhaps that little low pressure system down toward the Bay of Biscay, which could introduce us at showers and thunderstorms. But we'll have to see again the details of that nearer the time. If you look at the ECMWF now, again, very similar in terms of a lot of low pressure around at the moment and colder conditions over the coming days. Eventually, high pressure does build in, and we do see generally warmer conditions. Once again, very similar with that little low down towards the Bay of Biscay, but again it pulls out towards the Mediterranean quite quickly, and the UK is in an easterly flow. Again, could be chilly down the far east coast, but for most areas the air mass is slightly milder. Again, could be some colder air there temporarily, but the air mass is generally a bit milder, and again, under high pressure it would be fairly decent. Again, you can look at the temperature deviations as average to above average. Again, we look at the 2 meter temperature here, right towards the extended range. Again, mid-teens here at midday, so again, probably higher teens around the peak at 3 p.m. So perhaps, as I said, warmer and drier to end April and start May. So do finish by looking at the ensembles. Again, you can see it's cold over the next sort of 3 to 5 days, chilly the next day or so, and then very cold early next week until around Wednesday, Thursday. And then we see that rise in temperatures to around average or slightly above average for the foreseeable future. And again, slightly above average, when we see temperatures build, can easily give 20 degrees in many areas. So it still can be fairly warm, even though those upper air temperatures are not spectacular, as long as we see sunshine and consistent air masses, not too much mixing of the air, which we would get if we had a big high pressure system. You can see precipitation is high for the next sort of 5 or 6 days. Definitely some spikes early next week, and again through the 28th, maybe 29th. Again, that's around 6-7 days time. That's again when we see low pressure perhaps sliding by. But after that, there is still a precipitation signal, but it's not huge. So again, definitely sort of on the verge of a high pressure dominant spell, but we can't say that for certain simply because there isn't too many precipitation spikes set there. But one thing we can say is definitely looking like it's going to be warmer in the longer term. And again, look at the sea level pressure. Definitely a rise in the longer term, but it's not a definite rise. There still is a lot of uncertainty there. And that's the same with the 2 meter temperatures. Definitely looking quite a bit higher in the longer term, back towards the mid to high teens. And again, as natural, we're getting later in the years, the temperatures always are going to rise slightly, but definitely a much warmer synoptic pattern than we do have right now. And if we do finish on the ECMWF, look at the midnight run. Again, very similar. Cold over the next 5 days, for it does turn a lot warmer, a good couple of degrees above average for the foreseeable future for the last few days of April and the first week of May. Again, still quite a big precipitation signal in the longer term. Nothing huge, but definitely not definitively dry and not definitively high pressure dominated. So could be a lot warmer, but still could have the risk of showers appearing. And again, you can see that from the sea level pressure. Definitely higher pressure in the longer term, but nothing too dominant, and still some low pressure signals, and definitely perhaps with little cut-off lows like we saw in the ECWF operational and the GM operational down towards the Bay of Biscay, can have a general drier pattern, warmer pattern, but introduce showers and thunderstorms at times. So we'll have to see what happens over the next couple of weeks, but it is going to be cold, it's going to be quite horrible the next sort of 5 days or so for many areas. Snow perhaps in the north, generally widespread colder conditions, frost and potentially ice, especially through Monday and Tuesday for a lot of areas. For into the weekend, next week it could turn warmer and hopefully a bit drier too, and that looks like the pattern as we head into early May. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.